Good morning, everyone. For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin this morning in the Syrian-Turkey border town of Kobani, which remains under siege at the hands of the Islamic State militant group. The town has become the focus of world attention since Islamic State advances drove 180,000 Kurdish residents to flee into Turkey. The group seems set to capture the complete town on Tuesday, but ongoing fighting by Syrian Kurds has driven back IS. Some reports indicate most of the town has taken up arms to defend the city. So far, 400 have died in the battles. Seizing the entire town would give IS control of a long stretch of the Syrian-Turkish border. And at least 12 people are dead following violent clashes across Turkey. Protesters have taken to the streets to demand action from the Turkish government to help the residents of Kobani. The demonstrations were held by Turkey's Kurdish minority demanding military support for Kurds in the city. Turkey's inaction appears linked to fears that help for the Kurds would boost Kurdish independence demands by strengthening Kurdish fighters in Kobani. Turkey has fought a decades-long internal war against its own Kurds. Turkey would also prefer to shift focus to ousting Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Canada becomes the latest Western country to join the U.S.-led coalition involved in the Middle East airstrikes. The Canadian House of Commons voted 157 to 134 Tuesday to back military action. Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper insists that his country will not deploy ground troops nor strike targets in Syria. A broad number of countries have joined the U.S.-led coalition. Still, U.S. Department of Defense figures show that the U.S. has so far carried out 90% of the air raids. It has come at a cost of $1 billion. And to Latin America now we go, where Wednesday campaigns come to a close in Bolivia ahead of Sunday's presidential election. Incumbent Evo Morales is expected to coast to victory. Polls give Morales a 40% lead over his nearest rival, Samuel Doria Medina. Doria Medina is a business multimillionaire opposed to Morales' economic policy. Doria Medina hopes to end what he calls excessive government spending. He proposes that revenues from the nationalized gas industry be split 50-50 with foreign investors. On the other hand, Morales attributes the doubling of Bolivia's economy during the past decade to his economic nationalization of the nation's plentiful gas reserves.
Why are we doing well economically? You remember, brothers and sisters, we are doing well economically after nationalising our public companies, after recuperating our gas for Bolivians, after recovering our national resources.
Meanwhile, in Mexico, marches are scheduled nationwide on Wednesday. Demonstrators will demand justice for the 43 students who disappeared in late September. The students went missing after they clashed with police. 2 hitmen have admitted to killing 17 of the students and claim that security forces were also involved. A mass grave with 28 bodies was discovered near where the students were last seen. Mexico's Senate on Tuesday created a special committee to investigate the disappearances. And to Venezuela now, where the National Assembly voted on Tuesday to declare former Colombian President Álvaro Uribe not welcome in the country. The move follows recent revelations linking the right-wing politician with plans by 2 Venezuelan opposition activists to carry out terror plots in Venezuela. The plans sought to destabilize President Nicolas Maduro's government and were followed by a wave of violence last spring that left 43 dead. And we go to Colombia now, where the Colombian defense minister has dealt a blow to activists and victims fighting against illegal forced recruitment in the country. Here's our correspondent, Charles Parkinson.
Display at a special commission of Colombia's Congress, Defense Minister Juan Carlos Pinzón cast aside hard evidence of the systematic nature of forced military recruitment. Despite video evidence and hundreds of official complaints from around the country, Pinzón suggested the illegal practice amounted to isolated incidents.
If there are members of our institutions that exceed or violate norms, that in one way or another fail in a matter of discipline, they must be investigated and punished.
Concentrating his speech on the need for conscription in the face of Colombia's ongoing conflict, Pinzon failed to directly address the fact that young men exclusively from poor backgrounds are arbitrarily detained and shipped off to conflict hotspots, despite constitutional court rulings against the practice.
We still have not had a response as to whether the Colombian military is going to continue these detentions in the most working class and poor areas of the country.
The Defence Minister's display drew consternation from those in attendance who continue to suffer from this illegal military activity.
The Congressman Ariel Uribe was putting forward the evidence, and I saw that he was just dedicated to his cell phone. He was not paying attention. It's very sad that this person, who maybe hasn't been in economic need or hasn't had to undertake military service, cannot put himself in the shoes of us mothers and understand the seriousness of all this, and even more, where he is sending our sons.
For victims and social activists, the battle continues. The message from Pinzon to victims of this practice was essentially, sorry you're upset, but nothing's going to change. A message that will surely galvanise those dedicated to fighting illegal forced recruitment in this country. Charles Parkinson, Telesur in Bogota, Colombia.
And thanks to Charles. In his latest report, the IMF has warned of a further global economic slowdown. The report also revealed that China has overtaken the U.S. as the world's largest economy. In its World Economic Outlook published Tuesday, the IMF cut predictions for global economic growth for this year to 3.3% and lowered the outlook for 2015. But the report was optimistic for China, expecting 7.4% growth this year. According to the figures, China now knocks the U.S. off of the top spot for the first time in nearly 100 years, with an economy worth 16.48% of the world's GDP.
We're navigating a boat, right? But it's clear that the recovery is weak.
Twitter announced Tuesday it will sue the U.S. government over restrictions on what it can reveal about government requests for user data. Twitter argues the restrictions violate its First Amendment rights. The move follows growing concern about technology companies' commitment to privacy after revelations by former CIA analyst Edward Snowden. Twitter hopes the lawsuit will allow it to be more open about the number of national security requests it receives. Finally, we end today with some great news for fans of filmmaker Guillermo del Toro, who rose to fame with Pan's Labyrinth. Del Toro presented his new movie in Mexico City on Tuesday. The Book of Life is an animated film based around the Mexican Day of the Dead holiday, when family and friends gather to remember loved ones who have passed away. Del Toro says he hopes to make a film related to his Mexican roots. The film soundtrack features music from bands including Radiohead.
I studied fencing. You picked yourself a feisty one.
They're not your typical Prince Charming.
Come at me, bro.
You don't point at me. I'm the perfect corner.
You two are acting like fools.
Me too?
More on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Wood. I hope you have a great day.